This video was voted by the Patreon members, so thank you guys so much. If you also want to vote for what videos I make in the future, please definitely consider joining. I'll leave a link in description. Hey guys, yeah, another Finger here on YouTube. So today I'm going to be reacting to the Asian Boss interviews of Taiwanese people from a Taiwanese perspective. So they made in total 4 of them, but first of all, of course I'm going to check out the one about how Taiwanese people think about China.
其实最近台湾的新闻
Yeah, I suppose that's what brings a lot of you guys to my channel as well.
一些相关国外的报道吗？
有的，多多少少有注意。
有，我非常重视就是国外对台湾的报道。
在那个社交媒体上会看到。
Okay, so most people do.
就是 YouTube 上会有，就看到那个国外对台湾的想法之类的。
Okay, so generally speaking, I feel like Taiwanese people actually care a lot about what foreigners think of us and what foreigners are talking about Taiwan. Like you'll see these type of videos on YouTube, it's just always filled with lots of Taiwanese people commenting, thanking whoever is making this video to let the world see Taiwan. And it's quite understandable really, because Taiwan used to be like a topic nobody wants to talk about like on an international level. So of course we would hope that more people, more countries are talking about Taiwan and giving awareness to our issues. And another example would be that at this point, it's quite a well-known fact that it's rather easy for foreign YouTubers to become successful and really popular in Taiwan. Like these are the people, the foreigners that would come to Taiwan and live in Taiwan, and they would make videos about like cultural differences, what they think about Taiwanese culture, Taiwanese food, Taiwanese people, so on and so forth. And these type of videos are extremely popular in Taiwan right now. And of course, I'm not here to say if it's good or bad, because personally, I'm also very interested in learning like cultural differences, and I also sometimes watch these type of videos. All I'm saying is that it is a phenomenon that Taiwanese people tend to care a lot more about what foreigners think of us, probably more than what people from other countries would.
像会报道到的就是2大方面，第一方面是中国的武力侵犯台湾，
Yeah, totally.
飞机的军机，然后侵犯到我们的航空领界线。然后第二个就是台湾的半导体。
那各方对台湾的主权有很多不同的立场和见解，像中国大陆很清楚地表明台湾是他们的一部分，但是我们也经常在西方媒体听到说台湾是一个独立的国家。所以作为一个生活在台湾的当地人，你觉得台湾媒体传递的讯息比较偏向哪一种？
Okay, so for this question, I feel like I should definitely provide some background info first. For those of you guys who might not already be familiar with like the relationship between China and Taiwan and what is going on between us. So the current China you know of right now is the People's Republic of China. Now Taiwan is the Republic of China, which is first of all, not the same as the People's Republic of China, and secondly, is not and has historically never been a part of the People's Republic of China. So that being said, currently the Chinese government has no direct control over the Taiwan island whatsoever, and Taiwan is 100% independent and function exactly as how any independent country would. It's just that it's not recognized as a country internationally, like it's not a part of the UN and it's not a part of most international organizations. So it's hard to say that it's already a country, but it also is definitely not a part of the People's Republic of China, as the Chinese government is trying to claim. Okay, so now that you know everything you have to know, let's move on to check out how people think the Taiwanese media is representing this issue.
我觉得都有因为台湾是一个民主的社会，所以很多不同的 立场跟方式都大家可以接受。
I want to say people accept it, like people are fighting all the time, but yeah, definitely because we're democratic, everybody is free to express themselves.
就是我们目前台湾就是讲蓝绿嘛，在我们感觉上是比较偏向。
I'm not sure I would agree with that, but yeah, there's definitely a difference between the Green Party and the Blue Party.
至于蓝的这一方面呢？ 新闻媒体是比较少，蓝的是比较支持统一，就是现阶段是支持维持现状，然后未来的目标就是统一， 那绿的话呢，就是比较支持独立。
So I think he has done a great job explaining the different perspectives of the Green Party and the Blue Party. And I do want to add that, of course, there are many different news medias in Taiwan. And in fact, all of these news medias would take side. Like some of them would be more towards the Green Party, so more towards independence. And some would be more towards the Blue Party, so more towards unification. And those news medias, depending on which side they take, would present news that would make the party they support looks good. And of course, the other side looks bad.
台湾当地的媒体其实有很多不同的角度，但是我个人看完之后，其实台湾的媒体传递的讯息很多是扭曲而且恶意的。偏向他自己所谓的角度，其实
Yeah, that's what news media does.
角度其实很有很大的问题的，而且都是某层面上看起来根本就是违法的，而且违反是中华民国的法律嘛。其实大部分的媒体到现在目前为止都搞不清楚，我们目前真正的国号叫中华民国，
Yeah, of
英文叫
course.
Republic of China, so it is a China, but they don't want it. 所以大部分人都搞不太清楚这件事情。那所以我觉得媒体连这件事情都搞不清楚的时候，后面他们传递的讯息，其实可信度多少就各凭自己的了解跟认知了。
Okay, so when he said against the law, I suppose he was referring to the Republic of China Constitution because, yes, officially the name of the country is the Republic of China according to the Republic of China Constitution. So yes, this part I do agree with him, but also I need to reiterate that Republic of China and the People's Republic of China are two different things, and also the Republic of China, aka Taiwan, is not and has never been a part of the People's Republic of China. And so note that he said it is a China.
So it is a China.
So it's not a part of China, but it's technically a China on its own. So kind of like the North Korea and South Korea situation, like there are two Chinas.
那你个人觉得台湾是独立的吗？还是你觉得我们是他们的部分？
我自己个人认为台湾是独立的，但是我不认为台湾在这个国家被国际认还已经被认可。
Yeah, that's exactly what I think as well.
Officially 独立，对我来说，我觉得跟中共的密切关系绝对是能带来经济很好的成长，但是我又不希望台湾原有的这个民风淳朴的这个好的文化被他们破坏掉，因为我非常知道，如果他们统治了之后会变怎么样子，所以我还是希望我们能够保有言论自由跟台湾这些很好的文化。然后
Definitely.
对，我现在还在观察，就是如果香港真的变成了很可怕这样，或者说是新疆已经沦陷了嘛，新疆就是已经很可怕了，那我现在就是还在看香港这样。
I think his opinion is the closest to mine so far. So independent, but technically not a country in a sense of not internationally recognized. I also like how he mentioned Hong Kong because definitely I think that a lot of Taiwanese people are also watching the situation in Hong Kong closely. And the way CCP has been treating Hong Kong has actually had a significant influence on the way a lot of Taiwanese people see CCP and also has made a lot of Taiwanese people more and more reluctant towards CCP's plans of taking over.
我觉得台湾一定是独立的国家，我们就是一个独立的小岛，但我也不会，就是我也不是所谓的台独立场。我觉得其实维持现状也蛮好的，因为我们现在该有的权利或者是什么，然后国际上其实也是蛮认可我们的存在。
But I wonder how long it could maintain, considering the CCP being more and more hostile toward Taiwan's nowadays.
台湾从来就不是一个独立的国家，因为台湾是中华民国治下的一个省啊，所以我一直不了解台湾是一个独立的国家这个 statement 跟这个 theory 到底是哪里来的。
Okay, I know this person already has a strong opinion about how Taiwan is a part of China, specifically the Republic of China. But I mean, come on, do you really not know where this theory comes from? It comes from the fact that Taiwan functions exactly as how an independent country would. And by the way, what he said here was actually Taiwan is an independent country. The subtitle omitted the word independence, but it actually does make a difference because Taiwan, although is technically not a country, but 100% independent. And that is just a fact, so I can only really agree with him halfway.
那你个人对于中国大陆的观感是什么？对他们的人民或是政府有没有什么印象？
其实中国大陆，我觉得这几年发展的真的是很厉害，然后也是蛮快速的。 他们在硬体建设上是真的不得不佩服，特别是在无论是他们的桥梁，或者是建造，或者是高铁的建造，任何的，还有包括武器
weapons
这些都是硬体建设。
It's quite concerning.
但是在软体方面，譬如说人民的素质、教育，特别是医疗，那么还有种种的一些环境卫生，这些可能就会需要很加强，要非常加强了。是，
我觉得人民就其实蛮友善的啊，因为其实我觉得就是中国人并不差。就我觉得，我并不讨厌中国人，我比较讨厌他们的政权。
That's exactly how I see them as well, but the interesting thing I must mention is that a lot of Chinese people do not seem to see a difference. Like if you're against the Chinese government, you're immediately considered 入华, meaning you're insulting the entire Chinese race. And you disliking the Chinese government automatically means that you're hating on every single person in China. I have met so many Chinese people who think this way, and I find it quite interesting, but also a little bit scary at the same time.
首先我不会叫它中国大陆，我会叫它中国。然后
Me too. So it's kind of a trend among us young Taiwanese people where we refuse to call it 大陆, which means mainland, because that would imply that Taiwan is a part of them.
我的印象嘛，第一个我没有去过中国，然后第二个是厌恶，第三个是恐惧，因为当这个政权。对，有人会说你要把这个政权跟下面的人分开，但是当整个政权它一直整天到晚在威胁你，整天到晚在跟你说要打过来的时候，你很难不对它产生防卫心，你很难会想要说我也要去了解你。
Okay, I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but I do kind of see where he's coming from. And the thing is, I have met quite a few Taiwanese people who think the same as him.
那很多人会说我们的文化上很相近，像我们讲一样的语言啊，然后其他也有很多类似的习俗。那作为一个台湾人，你觉得你和中国人有什么关联吗？
我想某一程度的文化应该还是有一些相似点。那当然每个区域当然有自己的在地的一些文化，那这个可能跟他们也有比较不一样的地方。
So the thing I noticed is that most people in this interview, not just this guy, but also most other Taiwanese people who answered this question later, all show the same attitude, that they don't seem to think that Taiwan follow, for the most part, the Chinese culture. And I actually used to have the same impression as well. Like since Taiwan has been separated from China for so long, definitely we have already developed our own culture. But since I started posting cultural related content on this channel, naturally I have to do a lot of searches, and what surprised me is that a lot of the things that we thought originated from Taiwan, or the things that we thought could represent the Taiwanese culture, are actually mostly originated from China, or at least has its Chinese roots. And of course, later in the video, this lady also pointed out that just because we share the same culture and speak the same language doesn't mean that we must become a country, which I totally agree with. I mean, just look at Singapore, where the majority of people are also ethnically Chinese, but they work very well as a country on their own. And it also doesn't increase division between the big Chinese family, as the CCP claims what would happen if Taiwan becomes a country. But anyway, just the fact that many Taiwanese people seem to be unaware of the significance of Chinese culture in Taiwan, whereas when foreigners look at Taiwan, there's even this saying that Taiwan actually preserves a lot of the Chinese culture better than China itself. I find it very, very interesting.
现在目前的论述，很多人说，台湾人是独立的民族，或是独立的什么？不好意思，目前台湾人的主体是汉人。如果一个人他不是台湾原住民的话，以目前的政治论述来说，他是没有资格讲他自己是台湾人。
Okay. Questionable. But the thing is though, the word Taiwanese is a lot of the time not even used to describe ethnicity or nationality. It's simply saying that, okay, I was born here and I have been living here most part of my life. It's like people would also call themselves New Yorkers, Parisians, or even European Africans. It's not always about ethnicity or nationality. People just call themselves these things to indicate that they are from these places. So yeah, we are ethnically Chinese, and even like like considering that we are the Republic of China, we are also Chinese nationality-wise, but the current reality that we live in is that most people outside Taiwan only recognize the People's Republic of China. So if we just call ourselves Chinese and say that we're from China, absolutely everyone would just assume that we are from the People's Republic of China, which is just not true. Like, just imagine, according to his logic, the title of this video should also be changed into how Chinese people think about China, because most of them appear to be also ethnically Chinese. But obviously that would make no sense and it won't get the meaning across. So thanks but no thanks. I'm just going to keep calling myself Taiwanese for the time being.
那你觉得年轻的台湾人和老一辈的台湾人在中国这个议题上面的看法，会不会有世代上的差距？
哦，那肯定会有世代上的差距啊，因为老中青三代的这个想法都不同，老有老的想法，中间年代有中间年代的想法。现在年轻人我们没有办法去，因为他们接触的这种知识层面比较广，所以有可能他的这个观念会比较新潮一点这样。那么老一辈的那就可能我在猜想老一辈的他们还是比较愿意去接受这个中国大陆那边的
kind of the same impression I get as well. Okay, here I want to jump in and talk about it from my personal experiences because he was being kind of vague about it. So I definitely also noticed this generation differences. So from my experience, I have heard many people from the older generation calling themselves Chinese people, like in front of foreigners. And it's like some of them even think Taiwan is an independent country, but still they have this identity of Chinese people instead of Taiwanese. As for younger generations, like people around my age, I have heard mostly people would just call ourselves Taiwanese people instead of Chinese. So for the reason that I have already said before, like maybe some of us have met foreigners from other countries and we realize that it's so easy for foreigners to confuse us with people from the People's Republic of China, so we just call ourselves Taiwanese to avoid the confusions. And it's also true that the younger generation in Taiwan has already developed this identity of being a Taiwanese person as opposed to the older generation where they still hold that Chinese identity. And something very interesting I would also like to share with you is that our even younger generation, like I'm referring to kids maybe in the middle school or in elementary school, recently many people are noticing that because they're quite addicted to this app like TikTok, so obviously TikTok is a Chinese company, and because of that they have been receiving a lot of information coming from the People's Republic of China, and because of this quite a few of them seem to believe that Taiwan is already a part of them, like part of the People's Republic of China. I have already heard a few stories saying that they saw their cousins or maybe the kids in their family like to watch TikTok and seem to think that Taiwan is already a part of them. So I'm actually not sure about the percentage, like if it's just a few cases that are like this or is it actually like the majority of them, but definitely if this is the case, it's definitely also a huge generation gap between us and these kids that are currently receiving a lot of information from TikTok and the PRC. So yeah, that's something that I think I should definitely share with you guys.
我以前受的教育就是，我们要反攻大陆，然后我们要解救大陆的同胞。那我的孩子他们念的那时候，因为已经教改过了教育的版本，我们以前是国立编译馆，然后后来可能整个都改编过了，有纳入台湾的历史，所以年轻人会更清楚、更了解。那我们那时候完全不懂，我们就认为。
Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess it might be one of the reasons why more people from the older generation would refer themselves as Chinese.
那除了申请签证之外，你觉得有没有什么其他因素是有可能会对于你出入中国边境造成限制的？
就是我进去可能就出不来这件事情啊。我可能就去台湾，然后就被扣押，然后就被送了。
哦，I
会被送去劳改吧。
可以说一下为什么你会这样觉得吗？
I definitely feel the same. I have the exact same fear
在国际社会中有很多传言说中国可能真的会以武力犯台。那你觉得台湾人会普遍来说他们会非常担心这件事情吗？还是他们不太在乎？
我觉得会担心， 只是担心程度的多寡，然后还有些人觉得他会不会打过来，但是他每天这样的威胁，然后加上新闻诱报，不管是轻重还是不轻重，他只要报说每天又有100多架飞机飞来这边，一定会对我们的心理受到影响。
因为我觉得日本、美国还有国际，还有澳洲，还有一些欧洲国家，他们现在都已经，我觉得他们都已经有在帮。
Yeah, but only voiced support, not much actual support, I would say.
我觉得也会给他们一些压力吧。
对他们来说，如果他们要武力犯台的话，他们一定有要消耗很多资源。那他们可以做的事情其实很多，就是什么经济封闭啊，他们可以做台湾软手段吧，就是不是硬手段那种武力犯台，而是经济资讯战之类的。
That's also what I've always thought, but so far their soft approach doesn't seem to be very effective.
我是希望说，两岸的领导人呢，都能够用智慧的方式来处理这么严重的事情。和则两利。如果发生战争呢？想想看，发生战争一定是在台湾本土，死的是谁？是台湾子民，不是大陆人。
Yeah, exactly.
也不是美国人，也不是日本人。我希望政治人物呢要好好的负责任，不要把我们推到这个深渊里面。台湾也不要一味的靠美国、日本来帮你撑腰。美国它是以利益，不是美国啦，全世界国家都一样，都是以自身的利益为至上。
Yeah.
先谈自身的利益，然后呢再去讲别的。当台湾的利益已经比不上大陆，已经比不上美国所需要的利益的时候，是不是像阿富汗、像土耳其的库德族一样，随手就可以丢了？所以我是觉得，台湾人啊，就像我刚才一开始讲的，要自立自强。
I think what he said was very real and also very heartbreaking at the same time, specifically the part where he said that if the war comes, it will be happening in Taiwan and it is the Taiwanese people who will die. And unfortunately, yeah, that is the sad truth.
那因为外国人大多只能从媒体报道认识台湾，那还有没有什么关于台湾的事情是你希望其他外国人也可以知道的？
Okay, I want to let you guys know that if you're interested in knowing more about Taiwan, please definitely subscribe to this channel because I make Taiwan-related content and also I react to different things from a Taiwanese perspective.
我想要让国外的人知道，台湾确实是一个非常民主的、一个非常民主自由的一个国家。那这个那他们可能对台湾的人文，包括这个所谓的谦虚礼貌这些，他们都并不一定会有所谓的认同跟认知啦。
台湾人我们才刚开始在了解我们自己。我们其实根本不认识我们自己，我们不知道自己是谁，我们不知道自己从哪边来，我们不知道自己的文化，所以我们才刚刚开始认识自己，我们才刚刚开始建立自己的身份认同。所以，有兴趣的话，可以跟我们。
Yeah, very well said. Welcome to join us.
就是除了政治以外外国人对台湾的关心是什么？那我觉得台湾的民众是非常友善的。而且我觉得台湾的民众是非常勇于接受新的事物的。
Yeah, first Asian country to legalize gay marriage. That's definitely something.
或者是政治的新闻上面可以少一点，多报道一些台湾一些进步的新的创新的想法，还有台湾人民生活的方式。
Okay, so since this video was released, some people seem to be questioning whether Asian Boss is biased, so if they specifically chose the people that represented what they were trying to convey, or gave out this image of Taiwanese people they were trying to represent. And then people found out that this guy was actually not just a random person they found on the street, but he's actually a YouTuber who has been known for holding quite a strong opinion on this topic, so they actually reached out to him and invited him to do this interview. Now, of course, course, I don't agree with them doing that and then claiming that it's completely a street interview. And so many people have already been criticizing them on this, so I'm not going to get too much into it because I feel like what needs to be said has been said. But other than that, the rest of the interviews does seem quite genuine to me, and I do also agree with what many other people are saying, that if Asian Boss wants some more diverse opinions, they should definitely also go out of Taipei. Like, they don't just do this interview in Taipei, but also other cities in Taiwan, because it's also quite well known that different cities in Taiwan might have some very diverse opinions on this topic. So if you remember earlier, we talked about how the Green Party is more towards independence and the Blue Party is more towards reunification. So all cities in Taiwan definitely also pick sides. So some cities might be more towards the Green Party and some cities might be more towards Blue. So of course, since I'm from Taipei, when you see that I'm reacting to this interview, you can see that I'm agreeing with almost everything they said, but I'm also definitely very interested in hearing out what people from other cities might think, so what opinions they might hold regarding this topic. So if Asian Boss could do the street interviews also in other cities in Taiwan, I feel like that would definitely be pretty cool. Another thing is that I really hope they would also interview someone from a way younger age group, so maybe like a middle schooler. So as I said earlier, some people from my age group are already feeling this age gap and has noticed significant difference in the way we see the China-Taiwan relations. So I definitely hope to see if it's true that there are a lot of these Taiwanese middle schoolers who genuinely believe that Taiwan is already a part of the PRC because of the information they received from TikTok. Because after all, they are the future. So if many of them do think that it's fine, even if we were reunified with China, it would suggest that a peaceful reunification under the circumstance that there's a group of Taiwanese youth genuinely believe in the value the Chinese government holds will become possible after these kids grow up, say 30 years later. And I do understand if Asian Boss was specifically looking for people over a certain age to interview, so maybe it has to be over 18 years old or 20 years old, but I do think that it is also important to hear out what the current Taiwanese kids are thinking, because to me, it does seem to me that this is something that could significantly change the future. Finally, Asian Boss also did several other interviews in Taiwan. Now, I don't think I have the time to go into details with each one of them, but I have watched all of them, and I do want to share this general impressions I have on all of these interviews, that although it seems like they're talking about many different topics, essentially they all comes down to discussing about the relationship between China and Taiwan. So for example, the interview they did about the US, even at the beginning when they were specifically asking question only about the US, people were already mentioning the relationship between China and Taiwan. And then about halfway into the video, all of the questions are about the relationship between China and Taiwan, and kind of trying to see if these Taiwanese people are more on the side of the US or on the side of China. And then of course the interview they did with the Ukraine invasion was because it reminded a lot of people of the situation between China and Taiwan, and many suspected that China might also invade Taiwan following Russia. And then the video they did about Japan, even at the beginning of the video, nobody was talking about China, but then towards, again, halfway into the video, all of the rest of the questions were about the relationship between Taiwan and China and the role Japan play in this relationship. So I guess it is true that currently the number one thing most people care to know about Taiwan is indeed the relationship between China and Taiwan, but I feel like because I also saw their interviews in other countries, and they would also ask about things that was happening in their country that also got a lot of international attention. And I do feel like there are also many other things that are going on in Taiwan that have been getting some international attention that I think could be made into very interesting interview topics. So for example, being the first Asian country to ever legalize gay marriage, what do Taiwanese people think think about gay marriage and its legalization in Taiwan. Or, for example, at the beginning of the coronavirus, Taiwan has been known for containing the virus quite well. So what do Taiwanese people think is the main factor that resulting in this? Stuff like this, because I feel like these are also things about Taiwan that have gotten a lot of international attention that I really hope to see more people discuss about. And again, I do understand the importance of making videos that people actually want to watch, and currently definitely most people want to watch people discuss the relationship between China and Taiwan. But just like what this lady said towards the end of the interview, I also hope that over time, as people start learning more and more about Taiwan, these type of interviews in Taiwan would also start turning to other aspects of Taiwan instead of always just about politics and international relations. So that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, so please leave a like if you did, and please subscribe for more reaction video from a Taiwanese perspective. And please leave a comment and let me know if you want to see me react to more Asian boss interviews in Taiwan or any other videos about Taiwan. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.